I think we're recording. Welcome back to One Man's Life Mission. So today I've got a special guest on, Denton, Charisma King. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. Thanks for coming on to tell your One Man's Life Mission.
Hey, no worries, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so what I usually do on this channel is I go through people's life stories, like right back to the very beginning. So I thought I might dig into your life, if that's okay.
Let's do it. I'm down.
Dig in there.
Yeah.
So uh I don't know, like we could probably when did your dating life start? Like high school or something like that?
I was like a virgin until about like 1920. I didn't have any friends or girls that really were into me or anything like that. I was in all fairness too, I was an overweight kid with long hair and greasy skin. I didn't take very good care of myself. I lived on a diet of Twinkies, I like to think. And I also was just deathly shy, where like I couldn't like walk in public without overthinking everything. I couldn't like pay. Like I remember when I first started becoming an adult, and I'd like give somebody money to like buy something, and my hand would shake giving it to them. Um, it took a long time. It took a lot of effort. Like I I did probably like I did somewhere between like 50,000 to 100,000 approaches at this point, just going out consistently for a very long time. Um, it was a lot of effort to get here. Um, Between like me also wanting to be a coach, me wanting to teach how people how to do this, and me also for a long time having a lot of self doubt. It definitely took a long time to get to the point to where I'm at now, and now I'm starting
Mm.
to really create a movement behind me, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah, so how old are you right now?
28.
28. Okay,
Mhm.
so you you said you were virgin up until what year? When did you lose your virginity?
Like 1920. So I kept track too. I know how many like girls I had sex with like up to a certain point, which I give this reference to people too, like so that when they go on their journey, because I know for guys that are just starting off in this, they're trying to build abundance. Which so in regards to building abundance, obviously you gotta like have some sexual partners and have some like level of abundance, because you can't become like a authentically caring human being unless you actually feel like something is inherent to you. So like for example, having friends, if you don't feel like friends are just inherent to you, you're going to be desperate to have them, and you're going to like not treat them like people. Same thing with girls. Like I'm willing to like break up with the girl if I think like breaking up with her is better for her, even if it will be at the even if for me I will lose out. So I think that's a big thing. But first you have to teach yourself abundance, and then once you move past that area of abundance, then it gets to a point where you actually start caring about people for people. But it's a
Mm.
journey.
So yeah, you definitely had left high school by say 19 or 20. Did you go to college and go to university at that stage?
I started to, and then I just realized really quickly it wasn't for me, and so I just bounced. I took off.
What
I
were you
actually
studying?
did. Huh?
What were you studying?
Oh, I was going to study kinesiology or psychology, which is like the first one is like personal training because my parents were into personal training. My mom was, and then psychology just because I was really fascinated with how people work. I also wanted to be a writer, but I don't think writing was exactly like an easy industry to get into. Not to mention all the writers I ever seen look really depressed, like the majority of them, and so I didn't like the lifestyle. So
Mm.
I just Yeah, so I said, fuck it. I just don't want to be a part of that. And so I looked for a different route, and I kept like being obsessed with game and approaching. I loved approaching. It was like my first experience having real friends or any friends. So I'm like, I need to get really good at this so I can have friends. And so I just kept pushing into it. Eventually I got to the point where, I don't know, I was, I felt like I was constantly putting up a wall with other people because I got really good at game to an extent where I could like kind of just fabricate different social situations and shit. And eventually, I felt like just because I was so good at it that I felt like I was constantly putting up a wall with others. I never was really being authentic. So at some point, I just gave up on that whole shtick, and I started just trying to be more authentic, which actually got me even better results than I had previously. And so then I learned like a really big lesson. So ever since then, I still use tactical shit, but for the most part, a lot of it is me focusing on myself. I focus on manipulating myself first, and then from there, I know that like through the state of law transference, if I feel a certain emotion, other people feel that emotion too. So it's a lot of mental games I play with myself nowadays instead of playing games with people more or less.
So when did you get? How old were you when you got into game, or you did you discover this book first, and then you I don't know, went in the forums, or how did that play out? How did you find game?
I read the book, The Game first. So I wrote down a list of 3 different things that I saw everybody that was happy because I was going to kill myself. And I was like, well, fuck that. I don't want to die. So I was like, maybe I can try to find some happiness because I was too much of a bitch to actually kill myself. So I was like, all right, well, cool. Well, I'm not going to kill myself. So let's try to find a way of being happy. And so I wrote down 3 things, which was money, friendships, and girls. And I was like, so I started studying all 3, and I ran across this guy named T, who ended up being like kind of a bit of a fraud and giving out really bad advice. But then I found the game, the book, and I started discovering people, and I discovered mystery, and I started like practicing mystery method. Then I discovered RSD, and I started practicing their methods. And yeah, I would go out to the malls every day. I had like all my entire friend group were all guys that went out and approached women together. Like that's how we made friends. And then like we just kept going through group to group. Then we started traveling to different cities and approaching different cities to go meet different pickup guys. Then I started working with RSD. Then I started coaching for Girls Chase. And yeah, it's been a really long journey for me. Like at least doing this, this has been my entire life. Like even like so, um, everybody who knows me knows that I'm very passionate about this shit. And like I'm kind of like I don't know, I'm kind of like a bulldog when it comes to this. Like it's like the only thing I know, the only thing I love. So it's like so from that aspect, I don't have anything else to like kind of just give. So I just push everything I have into this.
So you, how old were you when you read the game?
Uh, like 19, 20, I think, like around that, like 19, 20. Like that was around the time that I think 18 actually, because it was before I got laid. So I started reading it and
Oh,
started pushing. Yeah.
oh, okay. And
Mhm.
so if we were to go back before 18, high school, were you boxing? Were you doing sports back in high school? What was happening back in high school? So there wasn't any success, or was it? You said that you were overweight when you were younger, so you
Yeah.
were overweight in high school.
Oh yeah, I was. A little bit. I fluctuated. I would be like really skinny, like I get down to like 145, and like, but I had no muscle, and then I get like really overweight. It was just dependent on where like my depression was, I guess you could say. Like if I was like, so I was always just kind of a hustler, so I always worked pretty hard, and it came from like just a big place of lack. So whenever I'd play like football or something like that, I was not good at it, but I would just push myself so hard that like anything weight that I had, I would just lose it within the course of like 2 or 3 months. Like so if I weighed like 200 pounds, I would like I'd drop down to 145 over the course of me like working with the football team. And so I just like basically I was always the guy that kind of just like pushed everybody else to go harder.
Oh,
So
so
it
you were fluctuating up and down through high school with your weight.
yeah, I had like I had a how do I put it? Like I don't know. I always did so my living my home situation was a little bit unstable. Like I only went to school like I was absent from my high school like the 4 years in high school. I think around 1 to 200 days for the 4 years that I went there. I was actually going to get taken away from my dad, but I had really good SAT scores, so they told me that if I went and was in the science, I went to nationals for science. They would let me. They wouldn't take me away from my dad, so I did that, and yeah, it I did that, and that was kind of cool. It's kind of fun going that, but they messed up on the bus. Basically it's a long story. I remember I was just like I was too shy to talk to people. I did so much traveling and shit because my dad was always trying to drag me around. Then we switched back and forth between my mom and my dad. My mom would start drinking, and then she would get arrested for it. And then my dad would start doing some shit, and then it was just kind of like, you know, um, it was a little bit hectic. But they were trying their best. Like my mom's actually nowadays really good. Like she's actually doing amazing. She has her own business and stuff because she's killing it. And my dad's also starting his own restaurant. It was just like I just happened to be around during a turbulent time in their life, so that was just kind of like it actually set me a precedent, like a work ethic that was kind of cool, and also taught me how to push myself a little bit harder and how to push through hard times. But everybody's
Mm.
it was good for me.
Yeah, so it sounds like you moved around during high school. Does that mean you went to many different high schools? Like you're just bouncing from high school to high school?
Yeah, I think I went to, I went to 3 high schools, so it wasn't that bad.
Oh, okay. And you also said you at one stage during high school you were working with the football team.
Yeah.
So working with them, as in training with them, or were you playing football?
Yeah, I played football and I played basketball. It depended on the year. Some years I was doing pretty good in football. Some years I was doing pretty bad. It just depended like on where like the family situation was. Um,
Oh,
my
did
dad
you have to
wanted,
try out to get into the team? You had to like try out or something, and so
yeah,
it was depending on how good you were playing.
yeah. Well, I was always I always made it to the team, but it just wasn't like wasn't always starting necessarily because you know it was just like it was just so back and forth with my family, but it was fine. Um, yeah, you know, it was
Mm.
just kind of up and down.
So do you think it was the family situation or the weight situation that caused you to have some sort of depression when you were younger? And how are you dealing with that at the moment?
My parents were doing a lot of fighting when I was younger, so my strategy for trying to like stop them from fighting was trying to be like amiable and trying to play the middleman, also trying to be as like good a kid as I possibly could. So that was my strategy.
Mm.
That was my strategy to get them to stop fighting. And then I became a people pleaser through that. And also too, my dad was a little bit controlling. So it turned like so I was constantly trying to like get him to love me or like, you know,
Mm.
trying to get him to like, you know, kind of so that it turned into a people pleasing mechanism, which nobody likes a people pleaser.
And
And
did you
so
feel like you were being judged all the time? Like you could accidentally do something wrong and it wasn't really your fault type thing? Like you get in
exactly.
trouble at any moment. Is that the type of parents you had?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. It's just there was a lot of factors. I can't say it was any one thing. There was a ton of stuff going on at the time, and it was a lot of different moments that kind of like I don't know led to my personality being the way it is and who I am. And it's a lot like easy. Obviously, there's like an easy like short answer to it. Like I could say something like that, but there's a lot of factors that played a role in it. And to be honest, my dad was really loved me and shit, and so did my mom. It wasn't like they were like being like nefarious towards me or something. They just like were kind of suffering from their own like BS at times, like their own like kind of demons. You know, they both kind of had like really shitty childhoods and they were trying to figure their way through it. And so then they were trying to break the cycle with me. And then now I'm trying to, you know, further break the cycle with my situation.
Mm. So were you an only child?
Oh no, I have a brother and a sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm the
And they're older than you?
oh
Old,
no, I'm the oldest.
you're the oldest. Okay.
Yeah.
And so there's a possibility you took a lot of the brunt of your parents' bad behavior. They took it out on the eldest kid more, do you think? So you had to take a lot of the responsibility or something like that?
I did feel a role to kind of like protect everybody. Um, I guess to an extent, yeah. It was just like constant. It was a lot of games, a lot of game playing. It's because like so my mom was an alcoholic and a klepto, and then my dad kind of had like a anger problem where he just snap and like start fighting and shit like that. And so like there was one time where I was in the vehicle with him and like I remember him chasing down somebody in my in the truck because they cut him off and like trying to get him to pull over so he could beat him up and shit like that. My mom would like drive me to school like plastered. One time she jumped on me, started punching me in the head while I was like walking around and shit like that. Um, so like I was like late at night and my mom jumps on me, starts punching me in the head, like just like gets on top of me and I had to like run her into a wall and to get her off of me. You know, shit like
Whoa.
that.
How old were you when that happened?
I was like, how old was I? That was like junior high school, I think. That was like junior high when that happened. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So yeah, that would have been tough. And so
Mhm.
high school wasn't exactly fun, right? It sounds like it
No.
was awful, an awful
Yeah,
experience.
it was a situation, but it
Mm.
was fine. It actually turned out to be a lot of good things in the future for me because it taught me how to like kind of push through difficult situations and keep pushing. So like, I think like one of my better strategies and one of my better skill sets is that like when things get hard or things get painful, I can keep pushing. So like that came from like that whole living situation. It was just like, I kind of like for a long time, I thought I deserved pain. And so it was like a roundabout way of me kind of like, well, this is where I feel comfortable. I feel comfortable in pain. So then it became a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way where I kind of sought out pain. But then at some point I realized I was doing it to myself. And then eventually I kind of just broke the cycle.
Mm. And so around 18, you guys leave high school around 18, the same as in Australia, right? In America.
Yes.
And then so that's usually when you go to say college or university around 18.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you read the book The Game at 18. And what were you doing around that time period? What were you doing for work? Or were you studying anything at that stage?
I think I was trying to find a job at that point. I was trying to look for a job and trying to get something. So I was applying to a lot of different spots. And I think my very first job was like, what was it? It was selling, was it Fry's Electronics? I think I was selling TVs. My very first like couple of jobs. Like I think I've had like, I had a ton of sales jobs. I had like 30 sales jobs, I think, something like that, something ridiculous like that. And but it was because my resume was constantly sales. So whenever I tried to get a job outside of sales, everybody's like, dude, no, we're not hiring you. But if I ever applied to a sales job, they'd be like, yeah, we're hiring you. I'm like, all right, cool. And I was a shy guy at the time, which made it even funnier for me. Because like, dude, this is not, I'm a shy guy. I'm not like somebody who's meant to be like sales, but it actually turned me into an extroverted person by doing sales for so long and taught me how to actually it actually taught me game, which I think was really kind of liberating. It taught me how to like be a good speaker. It taught me how to talk to people and put me into like interaction after interaction. So it was like at some point I realized that this is actually kind of good for me, and so then I kept like doing more sales jobs, and it taught me that that I can use this to learn game even faster.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, it makes sense. And so 18, you were reading The Game and doing some sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said you lost your virginity at 19, 20. So
Yeah.
what happened in that 1.5 to 2 year period?
Um, so I was at this point, I was starting to get the goal to like go and approach every so often because I was studying mystery method and whatnot. I was reading the book. I was reading the book over and over. And so I'd approach a girl once a week and then I get super scared about approaching, like, and then I'd overthink it. And then I'd go back to my place. And I like at the time too, I was so depressed and whatnot that like, I kind of I didn't work that much, to be honest. Like I only went to work like 3 hours a week or 4, 5, 6 hours a week, 8 hours a week, something ridiculous. No, it wasn't that low. It was like 8 to 16 hours a week, like something really low. And then I'd only do one approach a week. And then I kept going out practicing and I kept kind of like beating myself up. And then eventually like I started getting a little bit better and a little bit better. And then I started working sales jobs and people started maybe assuming that maybe I was good at girls because every so often I'd get a phone number, not knowing that none of the girls were texting me back. And then then I kept like going. And eventually I found like a pickup group online because I loved writing. So I started writing stuff online on forums. And this guy saw me and said, hey, we actually have a Sacramento group. If you want to come hang out with us? I said, cool. So I started going out with them and it was really funny. Like they were actually the first like group of guys and they were all like so starstruck by game in itself. Like I remember the very first time we actually like I saw somebody approach. We all like we were at a pool place and we saw a girl walk out and this guy runs out there and approach. We all ran to the window to go watch him do it. It was so weird, but at the time it was kind of like watching magic or something.
So you were 19 then, or 18 still? Still 18?
I was like 19 or 20 by this point, I think. This was right around the time I got my first like lay. And then what happened was that so my very first year in game, I don't think I really got laid, but then the next year I got maybe like 2, and the next year I had like 6 girls I slept with. Then it was like then after that was 20, then after that was 60, then after that I lost count. And then it was kind of like, I just kind of like, it was like the only thing I would work specifically so I could go out and game. So I'm like, I need money to go game. So I would so there were times where I go, so like I got really hardcore into it. There were times where I'd go in my shitty little Camry and I'd go and like sleep outside of a college. I would like have like a fifth of vodka underneath my seat, take a shot and go out and start talking to girls like immediately as soon as I woke up in the morning at a college campus. And I do shit like that and I go to approach all day.
How old were you at that stage?
Well, I'm 21. I imagine if I had vodka. That was after actually. That was like, when was that? So, um, I was getting pretty good, and I had a lot of fun. I actually got a girlfriend like at some point that like I think my second like 2.5 2 years in, I got like a cute girl. She was homeschooled, so she didn't know any better. But she was really attractive, and like we'd go out to clubs and stuff and like bar scenes, and we'd do games like see who can make out the most girls in a night, and
And
like
so
some
you went to, so around 21, you went to college. That's
oh
when you
no,
started.
I would go to we would go to college. So what we do is like I'd go to a college, like a state college or a university, and I'd approach there until like 1 in 3 girls would recognize me.
Oh,
Then
so
I
you
went to the
weren't
next
you weren't
college.
studying there. Gotcha, gotcha. So
No, let's go to
you're having a drink in the morning to warm up.
yeah.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was about 21. So
Mhm.
there's a period there between, say, reading the game, the mystery method, uh, 1920. How did you meet the girl that the first girl that you slept with, the girl you lost your virginity to?
Well, at this point, like a lot of the guys were assuming I was good with girls because I was getting phone numbers, but obviously we know better. Phone numbers are kind of trash. They're not really
Yeah, yeah.
like kids that don't know, that have never gone out and approached girls don't know any better. But like, there's a lot more to it than just that. Like, there's ways of mitigating flake rate and whatnot, and also of ways of closing the deal in person and whatnot instead of like, selling for a date. Like it's a bunch of mental games. But at this point, like I met a girl at my third job I had, my third sales job. And she was like, she would drool out the sides of her mouth, if that gives you an idea of what she looked like. But yeah, she's my first sexual partner. And then I messed around with her for like 6 months after until I ran
That,
to
that was, sorry to cut you off, but that was the girl that you lost your virginity to. That one.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Mm.
yeah. She doesn't know either. Like I never told her. I just kind of was like, she's like, "Oh, you're good in bed." I'm like, "Sweet." Yeah, of course I am. I'm so good with girls, and I was like, "Fuck!" I still played that off. uh, just being a dipshit.
And so she
Yeah,
was locked in as a regular, was she?
yeah, she was a regular. She was trying to date me, and I just wasn't
Mm.
like. I was like desperate, so I backwards rationalized that I loved her, and then at some point I realized I was doing that, and then I kind of like, um, I was just, you know, I realized I was doing that. Then I kind of just cut her out, like little by little. I stopped talking to her. She
Mm.
actually still like kind of stalks me to this day on an occasion, but I don't know. A lot of the girls do, but like,
So
yeah, she was pretty aggressive.
so did you meet her in a college campus?
No, actually, she was a coworker. She was a coworker at one of the
Okay.
spots. So this thing in called Meowdy, where we approach people in the mall, try to get them stand in this giant oven like looking thing, but it's spin a wand around. You measure up your size and tell you where to go buy your jeans and stuff like that. And so that's how so I'd walk people try to talk them into walking into this giant microwave and tell them to like, it's not going to give you cancer. I promise. It'll just tell you what jeans you want to wear, and then people would get inside of it. So that was like kind of what we're
Ah.
doing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's where you met her. And so uh and there's a period there where you said that you were doing a lot of sales jobs up until you said that you worked for RSD, and then after that it was Girls Chase.
Mhm.
What,
Well, I was still
what
working jobs on the side too. They weren't paying me enough money to really survive.
so
So I was working those
how
jobs on the
old
side.
were you when you started with RSD?
24, 23, 24, I think.
Okay,
Something like that.
so
Yeah.
about 6 years of like sales jobs. Is that where you
Yeah.
did the bulk of the 30 sales jobs that you were
Oh, I
doing?
did sales jobs until about 2 years ago. Like my last sales job was so I realized that my YouTube channel was doing better and better. So I was like, okay, I'm starting to figure out how to make money in this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work at a bar for a little bit because it's a little bit less mental energy, and then I'm just gonna work afterwards. So I'd like work at this bar. Then I sit down for like 3 or 4 hours after work and just sit down on my laptop and figure it out. And I would just like keep working, keep practicing like how to edit videos, and I just try to stay consistent on it, try to figure out how ways to make content, worked on my camera presence. I started like kind of breaking down a lot of the shit that I learned from Julian and Tyler. from my other mentors and started trying to figure out how to coach better. And then I started taking on clients. And actually for a while, I was even like, I was taking on clients for free for a second, trying to figure out how to, because I didn't want to start coaching until I knew that I could get people results. And so I just kept pushing into it. And then once I felt comfortable giving results, then I started charging people. And even then I was sometimes like kind of fuck up and I couldn't figure out how to work a certain client because people are kind of like, so like most coaches try to work guys like they try to treat clients like a one size fits all. And you can't, it's not, game is not a one size fits all. Everybody has their own issues. I mean, there are patterns you can follow, but for the most part, if you're treating like coaching as a one size fits all, you're a terrible coach. It's not a one size fits all. There's so many different directions to hit it from. You want to look for the bottleneck though, the thing that's causing the guy basically, long story short, this took me fucking forever to figure out. And it was like, not exactly, it was kind of pride from like the hands of like my mentors. Like they didn't exactly, they would give me little tidbits at times, but it would be very piecemealed.
Yeah, and so you learned. So this was, you said RSD and Owen and Julian, right? So 24, you were working for RSD, and that's where you met those guys.
Yeah.
And so you were working your way through. So you're doing games, so and doing the part-time or full-time sales jobs for about 6 years there. There's like a 4-year period leading up from losing your virginity up to the working for RSD. I'd like to know what went on there. Was it just consistent, just working in the sales jobs, gaming in your spare time, or did something happen during that period that was notable?
Well, do you want me? I can go into like how they hired me and whatnot, and how I got into the position, and like if you want. Actually, here I'll give you some highlights. So I wrote this series.
Oh no!
Series called.
Oh, sorry. So no, I mean before you started with RSD. So like you're doing the sales jobs. So like did you like, were you doing lots of different jobs there? Did you travel? Did something notable happen in that period that, or is it just steady? It was just like, okay, turning up to work, gaming in my spare time, honing my craft, and then at 24, there was
Oh no!
RSD.
Well, here I'll give you like here I got you. I've told the story quite a bit, but I'll give you like kind of like the play by plays. So what happened was that I started basically like I started dating this girl. Her brother was also in a pickup, and she said I moved a lot like her brother and whatnot. And we started dating, and then we started going and approaching girls together and stuff like that. Then eventually I got jealous and whatnot, and we became monogamous, and I couldn't handle it after maybe like less than a year. So then I started cheating on her pretty bad and going out gaming regardless of whether I was dating her, because I wanted her on some level to catch me cheating so that we would break up, and she did. And I felt really guilty and I felt evil. So I started kind of doing this whole like beating myself up thing kind of. So I'd go out, I would game every week. I was going out probably about like 5-6 days a week. I started going out harder and harder, and eventually I was like taking about 4 to 5 girls home a week, which by home I mean my Camry. I'd fuck them in the backseat of my Camry, and like there was like there was like period blood stains on the ceiling and stuff like that. It was pretty. And I was starting to get in Julian at the time too, so I started practicing a lot of that kind of game. Like I do a lot of manipulation style stuff and a lot of like things that were very kind of dark and things like that. And I started fucking with people. I started kind of like, basically it was kind of a little bit dark in the way I was doing it, because I felt really evil. So I just like kind of was like moving into it. I'm like, yeah, I am evil. And then like, I am a sociopath. I am dark. And then like, I kept like pushing into it. And then eventually what happened was that some girl, some like crazy girl, she gave me a blowjob behind a bush. I'm not going to get into semantics, but basically she said, well, do you want to give me your phone number? I said, fuck no. Well, she got really pissed about it. And instead of going to her friends, she wanted to console her friends and whatnot and talk to her friends about the situation, but she didn't want to be like, yeah, so I gave this guy a blowjob. So instead, so her friends would give her sympathy, she told her that I raped her. Then her friends talked her into going to the cops. Then I was on the news, and then they swatted my parents' place. And then like I turned myself in, like being like, okay, well, obviously this is gonna be okay. But then I found out it's the middle of the Me Too movement. And so they were like literally saying, yeah, if they have any piece of evidence on you, they're getting a lot of pressure, they will put you away. So I was like, wait, what? And it's minimum 10 years. So I was planning ways to hang myself in the cell. And so I was like, there was like string wrapped around like the shit. And I was like, I'm going to fucking hang myself. Like, I'm going to hold off until like this whole thing goes down, but I'm going to hang myself. And so I started kind of working on my court case on a piece of newspaper and shit, like the one they gave me. And I really didn't think anybody was going to help me out. But when I went into court, the courthouse is actually filled with all my friends and family. And I was like, oh shit, people actually care about me. And I was like, oh fuck. And then like the judge saw everything. She's like, okay, no, like this guy's not supposed to be here. And the case was essentially just dropped immediately. I was so relieved. And I remember it was kind of like, I was thinking about it. I was really scared for a long time of cops in situations like that. I actually had like prior situations where I got beat by a cop at one point. And then I had another one where I got tackled. So just had a bad run. Well, it was right when I got arrested. So he talked to me about it. He said, hey, so there's no chance of this come back to you. I said, no, I got exonerated. I'm fine. And he said, okay, cool, come in. And then I started working for him. So yeah, that's the big swing of it. That was like pretty much what happened.
So that was between 2024. So approximately,
yeah, that was,
how old were you when that happened?
23. I think, yeah, 23.
Oh, well, yeah. And so, okay, so you got through that.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, RSD. So how did that happen? So that was 24.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable.
No, not at all. It looks like a bit of a roller coaster. It's actually a good story though, right? It's a good story.
Well, like I said, I think on some level I kind of caused a lot of this shit to happen myself in retrospect, but you never, hindsight is 2020. Yeah, so nowadays, like my life's like pretty good. I'm really happy now. It just like, I just kept like pushing myself into stupid shit. So
yeah, sometimes that's the thing with life. Sometimes, things just pop up and it's totally out of your control. And, a lot of, when we look at, say, the laws and we look at life, we think it's just black and white, right? But really it's so subjective that someone's opinion can really make a huge difference, or someone with an emotional problem can just say something or do something and it can negatively affect your life. And that's a huge issue. But luckily there's obviously judges out there that can see through the bullshit, and things like that. So you got through that unscathed. And then at 24 started up with RSD. So did you do a boot camp first? Did you reach out for them or something? Like, were you cameraman to start out with? How like you add, like intern or something like that to start out with? Or
well, they were actually looking for a coach, and so I had this series called Stories of Love Hitchhiker, and during this series, it got a little bit popular online. It's basically like my field reports talking about me picking up girls, and they're pretty narcissistic. And I have a really good kind of writing style that people really liked. And so I sent it into RSD. They said they want to coach for the immersion out in Vegas. I said I want the position, and they asked me to come out and I could try out. And then I got arrested. But then I hit them up. I said, sorry that I'm a week late, but this happened. They said, dude, don't you okay? I said, fine. Yeah. Not going to come back to bite you. I said, no, it's over. I said, cool, come out here to Vegas. And I went out to Vegas and I started coaching for them, and I did a tryout and I got one of their guys laid. And so then they said, okay, cool. Yeah, let's do this. And so then I started coaching for them, and I worked with them for like a year and a half, 2 years. And during this time, I was working a lot of odd jobs. They eventually started paying me, but they weren't paying me a lot. I was only getting paid like $200 at boot camp, and then they were pocketing the other 200. So it was like total of 400, but I got 50% of the profit, which was like a day boot camp. So like, that's fine. It's understandable. It's not that expensive. And also too, I'm not that good a coach at this time. And then I started going out like a lot with the clients. So I go out and work the day, and then I work with them at night. And I do this consistently where I'd meet up at like this strip club, and then I do speeches in the back of this strip club. And I started talking with them. And let me see what happened at this point. At some point, like I started working. So there was this thing where Julian was saying that So the guys I was working with was Todd first, and then Todd left, and then they took on Luke, and then Luke ended up being my mentor. Luke and me weren't getting along all that well. He was always out there with me gaming and stuff, but like I think he had kind of a chip on his shoulder about me. I think that he knew I wanted to be an instructor one day. So then he's like, he saw me as competition at some point. Yeah, so then the guys ended up kind of putting pressure on me. Well, anyways, Julian needed help with his 10 game product, so I went out there and helped him out. And I'm actually in like the blooper reels if you look at it. Uh, so we were out gaming together and stuff. It was like his game was so incredible that like I thought I was hot shit because like I was competing with this other guy for top coach, like best in game. But then then I see Julian, and Julian just fucking like shit on me. And so then I was like, oh damn. I mean I took a girl home, like a modelly looking girl home, but his game was so like leveled beyond me. It kind of pissed me off a bit. So I started like really breaking it down and thinking it through. I thought it through for like 2 months obsessively. And I was like, I literally like some of it I thought through for like years after, and it took me a while to figure out like some parts of his game. But then like I started kind of integrating it into myself. And then that was around the time that RSD and me ended up splitting ways. It was just kind of like, I was getting so burnt up and I was so tired all the time and shit, and they could sense it. So then they decided to get some young buck in, and like they decided to get rid of the quality. And also too, they were trying to hire some shit coaches. And I was like, dude, no, we have a dope team right now. We should be like looking for coaches to actually know what they're talking about. And they weren't really feeling that. So then they wanted to start hiring some like lower quality guys and shit. And then like they were trying to clean out the old crew of coaches. And so then like I got canned from the job, and I got even more depressed because I thought that my life was kind of just, fucked. And then my girl, like I was still cheating on the girlfriends I was dating too, because I wanted a game, but also too, I had this need for love. And so I was like, I need love, but I'm like, I can't do it if I'm like sleeping around on a girl. So I'm so it was like a little bit of a problem. Anyways, my girl broke up with me, and I got really depressed, and I ended up ODing on like a bunch of Molly, Coke, and some acid. Because I was out with some friend who's like, dude, I see you're sad. Come out to the desert with me and we'll do some stupid shit. Like, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I know you've never done this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, fine. Anyways, I did too much and I ended up having a heart attack, and I seizured.
Oh,
Yeah.
how old were you when you had a heart attack? Gee.
25, I think 25. Yeah.
Wow. So that was what, 3 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. It was about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'd say. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how's the heart at the moment?
Oh, it's good. Yeah, no, it's fine. It was just like I just did too much shit, and it just kind of like it was just like it was really yeah, it was just too much. I was just being a dipshit. I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I was having a hard time with it because I just always felt so depressed. I was trying to look for escapism. I was looking for any way to escape, and that was the way I was trying to do it. And yeah, it wasn't exactly like a very good way of doing it, but it just it taught me a lot. Getting so close to death kind of made me like kind of, so at this point now I almost died twice, and I thought about it for a while, and I'm like, dude, like look, like so when I was like, so I remember when I was having my heart attack, I remember I was looking at the sun and I couldn't see color, but I could see like this black and white sun above me. I was looking out the window because my friend was trying to drive me, like to get me out.
The internet again.
And I remember my seat was back. It's like thinking about my mother. I just don't want anybody knowing that I OD'd. It's like if I die right now, my mom's gonna blame herself, and I'm like, I can't do that. And that was when I decided to really start hitting this pickup shit even harder. And I'm like, dude, like I don't care if I die by 30, I'm gonna hit this as hard as I can. Like there's no way I'm not gonna make it. So then I put everything into it because I needed to do it for my friends and my family and shit. Like prove to them that I was gonna do something with my life. Because by this point, I think I probably looked like a loser, a guy that's like trying to like to people outside of this, they didn't know what I was doing. To them, it looked like I was just trying to like sleep with a lot of girls and shit like that. But to me, it was more like the mastery behind it. To me, it was like more that like there's this ethereal thing behind game that I think is really beautiful, and I think a lot of people miss out on. It's like this like I think Owen Cook said it, like an odyssey of the mind. It's like when you start getting really good at this, you kind of start seeing the matrix in a way. You can like, it's so fun and blith being in the zone and being in state. And it's so nice being able to help people out with this. Like, it's just a very tough field. It really like is very eye-opening. It's kind of like hitting the gym, but in a very spiritual way, I guess you could say. So for me, that's what this was. And I just wanted to prove that to everybody else and like let them see what I was like, the way I saw it. Like I wanted them to see it the way that I saw things. And so, and I wanted to prove to them I could be successful. I wasn't like a fuck up. And so I started working really hard and I started trying to figure it out.
Okay, so then 24 to 25 was with RSD, and about 25 you left RSD. Gee, had a heart attack. And then was that when you started this your first solo pickup channel, Karisma King? Was that when you started that?
I started when I was with RSD, but I forgot about it and I didn't really work on it for a long time. But after that, yeah, after that happened, I started working on it. So after that happened, I started pushing into it. I actually was traveling out to,
So
I was traveling
about
out.
3 years. It was about 3 years when when I think your videos popped up for me. It would have been.
Yeah.
I remember literally, I think you had maybe 1,000 subs or something, and you did I don't know, you did critiques on one of them, and I thought it was a novel idea, and I reached out to you. So it was about 3 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. Since then, you've taken off. And so you've been, you know, obviously working hard for the last 3 years. Obviously not taking any coke. So how's the heart's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, and so have you checked the heart up? Like, have you gone to the doctor to get like to see how it's pumping and things like that?
Not really. Honestly, I've never really checked in after it. Like after everything happened, I don't know. I was honestly was trying to forget about it to an extent. Um, it was you know, it didn't make me feel very good about myself. It made me feel kind of dirty that it happened to begin with. Like nobody ever thinks about something that has something like that happen to them as a good thing. So, you know, like it just added to the resume, like shitty stuff that like kind of just, you know, made me look like a fuck up. You know, between like, you know, getting accused of rape and then also having an OD situation. So I was like, it's not a very good resume up like right now. So I was just like, yeah. So I just stayed decently quiet about it until like I made a video.
Oh, the internet, Wi-Fi.
About the whole situation when I was going to get a lot of hate, but everybody's really supportive about the situation. So I was like surprised.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's to have a heart attack, that's a very, you know, that's a very serious problem, you know, and
Yeah.
it could cause long-term, I don't know, problems to the heart. Do you,
I actually never even heard about it. I never thought about it, honestly, until you mentioned it. Like I figured it was just kind of, you know, I'm a young guy that's has his health together now, and I never really thought that it might affect me later. I haven't had any issues with it up to this point.
Yeah, definitely be, I don't
Really,
know,
like,
I don't know, like diet, have a look at it, make sure that it's all under control, because there'll be a way to manage it, and to avoid anything, because I don't know, like a decade from now, you know, you don't want anything bad happening by mismanaging something like that, because it could cause permanent damage. You just don't know. So after lose my voice, I I literally woke up and sent you the link, by the way. So
schedule me then. Well, I know you're on Australia too, so
yeah,
what is it over there?
I was up late last night, so yeah, it's what is it? It's almost midday now. So um so for the last 3 years you've been running your channel. Have you got a Facebook group? Have you been has it just been focusing on the YouTube channel? What have you been doing for the last 3 years? The heart attack.
Well, it's always been the same thing. Yeah. I've been focused on the same things, honestly. I've been focusing on, so I never really was very motivated by money. It's only been recently that my friends have been pushing me into like kind of working on it and whatnot. And I do like having money and things like to like, because it makes a lot more sense to buy resources with buy nicer equipment, camera, you know, taking girls out on dates, buying food when I want to, going and traveling with friends. Also being able to like
if you can't make enough money to survive, you won't be coaching long. You know, I think that's the main reason why a lot of coaches just disappear, is because they focus too much on picking up girls and not actually doing some work on the side. I think that's what happens to a lot of coaches.
Well, I
They end
think a
up
lot of them don't have that ability to suffer. Like I think a lot of them don't really. So like I think so a lot of the guys there right now. So I have like a pickup house right here. That's actually what I'm in right now. Like this is my
okay.
place. I
Is
got a couple.
Avery living there?
Huh?
Is Avery there?
Yeah, he's in his room right now. He
Okay.
had a long night working, so he's like napping right now.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
Mm.
So I don't think like a lot of these guys are actually as passionate as me about this. So like, of course they fall off. Like if you're like, if you're in this, like, I'm not in this for the money. I'm in this because I'm passionate about something. I'm in this because I really love something that I do. And so for that reason, like, even when I don't make money doing it, like, I don't have a choice but to do this. Like, I'm just kind of like bred this way. So like when like you're not making money and you're like, well, I guess I'll go do something else. I'm like, I'm gonna still be pushing into this. Like if I was making nothing, I'd probably almost be like pushing, being damn near homeless, like which I was for a lot of years. And I still put.
Sounds like Sylvester Stallone. Didn't he? He sold his dog at one stage, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he
Mm,
did.
mm.
Yeah, similar thing. I just don't have a choice but to do this. So like, those guys have a choice to like do something else. So because they have the back door. All my boats have been bridged. Like all my I think like the Trojans, like you burn the boats behind you, so you have to take the
Yeah,
city.
yeah.
I have to
I've
take the
heard
city.
that.
I don't
Mm.
have a choice. Like I have to take the city.
Yeah, yeah. So for the last 3 years, can you break it down for us? So you got back on your feet,
Mhm.
and then you're like, okay, all in. And
Yeah.
then was it always Charisma King, the YouTube channel, the very
Uh,
beginning, or did you change
yeah.
it afterwards?
No, it was Charisma King. I started off with Charisma King, and I don't remember why, to be honest. I think it was as simple as like I remember CH, and I thought like Charisma being spelled CH was stupid as a writer, and I'm like whoever spelled it originally with a CH is an idiot. So like, and I'm like King, so I'm like Charisma King. I'm like cool. So I put down Charisma King, and then like I was when I first started it, I was really awkward. I hated watching myself on videos. I can't even still watch my very first video. But I started working with this company. So at first I started promoting, and then I switched over into selling club crawls on the strip, which is where you approach people. And the reason I even got into it is this guy heard about me in Vegas. His name's Daniel. He's dead now, so I don't think he's going to give a fuck about me mentioning his name.
Okay.
He he um, he he said like, I heard that you're really good at this shit, and like but I heard you're also struggling with money. Here, I'll teach you how to make money if you teach me how to pick up girls. I said cool. And so then he started taking me to club crawls, and he was making like 2,000 a year. Well, we also melded the idea of game with the idea of sales, and he went from making 2,000 10,000 within a year. I was more focused on the game side, so I got to about 2 to 3,000 a week. Um, like, so I was making six figures doing it, but like I kept falling off because I get obsessed with game again. I want to be focusing on sales, and I'd be focusing on my coaching and whatnot. And then what happened after that? It was I my channel started like, so I started finally the one winter. So I was like this. I want to start putting more energy into my shit. So what happened was a couple of my friends died. I had like within like a couple weeks of each other. So the first one was Daniel. Daniel died, and then my
What
friend
happened?
Tyler. He it was the guy that actually took me out to the desert. He was the whole Wolf of Wall Street thing. So he was the best salesman in Vegas. He was the top salesman. He'd make like $6,000 a day, but he also did glorify the Wolf of Wall Street. So he was like, he would try different shit out, and he decided he was going to try, what was it? It was something he had to do. It was morphine. He wanted to do morphine, and so he got morphine. He put it in a syringe and he stuck it in his arm, but it had a bubble in it, so he had an aneurysm and he died.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
mm,
Uh, Yeah, and then but it came down to two. So what happened was that I had my first video pop off, which is RSD legit, and then I started doubling down on that niche. Um, and so I stopped working that, and then I started doubling down. I worked at a bar, and then that's around the time he died. And then my friend a week later, well, actually Tyler first died. Tyler he was in a drunk car accident coming down from Washington to California. He's like my best friend. He died. And then Daniel died like a week after him. And it was just kind of like a little bit tough for me. So then I was like, fuck this. So I stopped gaming because I was dating this girl. And it wasn't it was kind of like a halfway toxic relationship. Like she was attractive and all, but she was an angry son of a bitch. And I wasn't gaming. So I was becoming a bit of a pussy. And then when my friends died, I said, no, I'm done with this. So I said, fuck this. And I broke it off with her and I moved into a different place. And I said, I'm going to figure this shit out. I wasn't getting good fast enough, because if I was getting good fast enough, at least before my friends died, I could have taken them on a trip. I could have done some stupid shit with them. So I said, fuck this. So I quit that. So I started pushing harder into this, and I broke it off with her. I quit my job and I started hitting this harder. And then the channel started doing better. I started putting a lot of energy into it. And yeah, that was like a year and a half ago, I think now. Yeah. And so now, like, as of like the past 6 months to a year, my life's been getting pretty good at this point. Nowadays, I'm really happy. I have all the choices and friends. I have some dope friends around me now, some really cool people that care about me a lot. I got a really dope girlfriend where like her and me we'll mess around with girls together and we go game together. Right now, I'm actually about to like go in like in an hour, gonna go work with a client for like maybe 8 hours a night, go just approaching girls together. I make good money now, but it was a lot of work to get here.
So your channel only really kicked off in the last year and a half. How the hell did I find your channel so early then? I don't know what happened then. I don't
A lot
know.
of people found my channel. It was like, is RSD legit video? A lot of people are in pickup found it, but they didn't like think, oh, I'm gonna subscribe to this guy and keep following his shit. I don't think. I was trying to get the conversion because nobody's converting into subscribers.
Yeah.
So I was making really similar content, trying to get people to subscribe to me. But it was like an uphill battle. And as people keep watching my content, they see that I'm authentic. Like I'm not making the shit up. I'm not like some kind of like sociopathic guy or something like that. Like I'm just a really passionate dude who really loves something. And so a lot of people pick that off of me. And like I now have a really hardcore fan base of guys that really like my ass for whatever reason. Like I think I'm a bit of a shithead, but they like me. So that's all good.
And so you're living with a bunch of friends now then. How many guys you're living with at the moment? I just saw someone walk by before. So Avery's there. You.
Yeah. That's my friend John. He's more the business guy of everything. So he's been helping me out with my business. He's good at that shit. So he's been helping me out with my funnels and website and stuff. Then I got my girlfriend in here who's sleeping right now. She took me on a hike yesterday. We were taking some Instagram photos. Yeah. Just like 3 people, including me, 4 people.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. John here just helps me out. Thanks, John. I appreciate you. He just like
I can see some light. Hey, how's it going?
He's playing dad right now.
He's taking photos.
He's thinking the lighting could be better.
Yeah. Okay, so
actually, can I turn this down? That's a little bright. Thank you, man.
Okay, so that's good. The last year, it's kind of strange that I found you so early then, because a year and a half ago, yeah, I thought that your channel was taking off back. I guess usually you'd make a video and it would like make a lot of views, and then literally get like 1 million views, and then the very next video 250 views or something like that. I think that's the retaining people can be difficult. That can be part of the issue.
Well, people fall out of this. A lot of people. I have an audience of guys that are very like, so I don't cater to like losers. There's a big piece of the pickup community. They're just losers. They're people that they're not in this to actually, they think they want to improve and get good with girls, but really they just want to be angry and pissed off at women or their life situation, which is like everybody has to go through their own levels of growth. But I don't want to deal with those people. Those people are the worst to coach. They're also people that if I take them out, they're going to look for any reason to bitch and they'll never do what I tell them to do. Then they'll complain and say it's my fault, even though they didn't do anything I told them to do. So I'm more like very high quality, very high mental people that are killing in their lives. So I don't water down my content. I make my content specifically to draw to me people who are of the higher rungs of society. And so like I get a lot of richer guys, I get a lot of people who are successful and killers. On occasion, I'll get like a shy guy who makes good money and stuff like that. That they're always sweet. They're not like dark people. I don't really like, I don't think I vibe with dark people. Like, so like somebody like J Mulv, he's a very dark person. He draws a lot of dark people to him. So it's like, I imagine his bootcamp the most toxic thing ever made.
That's good.
But it's like
I think we're an hour
you draw
into the video. Very few people watch to this point.
Cool. Yeah.
No, yeah, no, yeah,
Okay,
you're
got
right.
you. It's fine. He talks a lot of shit on me. I don't really talk to him about. I don't talk to him too much, but he talks a lot of shit on me. So
I don't
he
think
doesn't like me too much because
I
I
don't.
support RSD.
Okay, I don't think I don't think he's made a video on you though. So
Oh
I
yeah,
don't.
he did. Well, his most recent video, he what he did was he made a big video talking about all the trash coaches. He started talking about me, Karisma King, being like, yeah, he's an idiot who has approach anxiety or some shit like that. And so then I was like, what? It's like, motherfucker, you don't even know me. And so he just kind of like started. He's been on and off complaining. Sometimes he'll get drunk on one of his podcasts and bitch about me. He's mad because I didn't add him to my top 10 series, and I didn't add him to my
Oh
top 10 series
really?
because he's plastered drunk. He's
Is that
plastered drunk in every one of his fucking infields, and he's terrible.
why
So
he's
that's why I didn't add him.
angry? Is that
Huh?
why? Is that why he's angry? Because
Yeah.
really?
Well, he doesn't. He hates RSD, and he knows that I'm like. So if I think somebody's good, I'll talk them up left and right because I want them to help people out. Like I want people to
Hmm,
know, like, hey, this guy right here can help you out. So like even at the detriment of telling, like, if I think somebody's gonna be better for you, like I'll tell you to go coach with them. Like
hmm,
I've told people in the past, coach with Derek because Derek's a little older. So if I get an older client, I'll be like, hey, look, you're gonna work with me, but I'll say this: go get an older coach, like probably like Derek, who can like go help you out, or Tyler, just because I want you to see that like older gentlemen can like do really well with women too. Like Tyler right now has like, so me and Tyler talk a little bit. He's like currently has like the best game he's ever had. He's like in his like early 40s right now, mid 40s. And like that's because of game. Game's like a beautiful thing. And like nobody has shit like this. You're like you so out, if you can figure out game, you outclass other motherfuckers so heavily, like they don't have a fucking chance. Like it's like you're a shark in a pond. Like you're just
hmm.
eating all the guppies. Like if I ever go anywhere, if I ever go out, like guys don't know what hit them. Especially like anytime I go to a town smaller than New York, even in New York, I'll fucking like just curb stomp motherfuckers. At least verbally. I'm not talking physically, I
Hmm.
mean verbally.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
that's something that people misinterpret. They think they want to just attack the big dog. Really, they have a shot at RSD, but really,
yeah.
they bring people in. You know, like recently, I've been trying to get Paul Janka back. I know he's married and stuff, but I've been trying to get Paul Janka back into game, and um, I'm going to have him on here in the next month or two again.
Oh
But
nice.
yeah, like bringing those stars back. They're good for everybody, and that's what people don't understand. No, you're right. Yeah, um, yeah. Um,
Well, there's a misinterpretation, I think, between like society and society about like the whole pickup dating community. They think it's like, so they think the whole purpose behind it is get guys laid. But what they don't understand is like, so for women are the ones that are pushing that vibe, and so are guys that never have approached or ever had success with women. Because so what both sides think is that there's like a group of guys that have all the options in the world with women, and they're just like fucking them all over, and they have no purpose to it, and they're just trying to hurt
yeah,
everybody. But the
yeah.
truth,
Mm.
most guys don't have options. Most guys can't get laid. Most guys don't have the those options to even do that kind of shit. So when I tell a guy get laid, what I'm saying is like we need to figure out a way for you to get options. Then once you get from a place of abundance, now you can choose a girl you really like. When most guys will settle, most guys are going to settle for a girl they hate, for a wife that they're going to cheat on if they had the chance, which they will never have the chance, so they'll never get to cheat. So they're going to be good to his wife, but in all actuality, he's only good to his wife because he has no option to be bad to her. But he would if he had the chance. If some bombshell 18-year-old walked up to him, he would like fucking be like, I'll fuck you in a second. I've turned down like, all right, like I've turned down like dime pieces, like to like go home to this girl right behind me. I've turned down like multiple like fucking attractive ass girls. They were like trying to pull me to their room, and it's and like, so who's the guy? Who's the person who's better for women? Is it the guy that like fucking like hid in his basement and then like prayed and tried to become the nice guy, but all actuality is just being a manipulative cunt? Or is it me, the guy that's like, worked at this shit, try to become an empathetic human being, and then from that place of abundance, now I can actually truly care about a girl and do whatever it takes to be the best person I can for her.
I
Like that's what I hate about like
I've
society.
thought about this. I've really put a lot of thought into it, and when pickup gets cancelled, I don't think it.
Mhm.
I think all the rhetoric around it's wrong. I think it's an economic thing. Think about this. Think about this point. I'm 40, right? If all of the
Mhm.
guys that I know that are at my age, they've got like 35-year-old wives. You know,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
they're those. No, they're not. those girls aren't getting laid in the nightclub. No one's approaching them. Like, let's just be honest, right? If every 40-year-old guy like me learnt game and they kicked out their wives, the street would be flooded with homeless middle-aged women. Think about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
not even a joke. It's dead serious. Then you've got guys from, 45, 50 all the way. So you can't really scale up, pick up, or it will actually destroy society and it'll destroy the economy. Think about it from that point of view. If it went mainstream, it would, the streets would be flooded
Like,
with unemployed middle-aged women. I've lost you again. Are you back?
yeah.
I lost you for a second there.
Oh, all right. So check it out. So can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So, all right. So is everybody in this? All right. So is everybody in really good shape body wise, or are there a lot of frumpy people, like people out of shape?
Well, I guess it then becomes a bit of an arms race, doesn't it? It's like it's a bicep arms race. It's
Nobody
a
has
status arms race.
Like, so there's always going to be winners and losers no matter what we do. There's always going to be somebody that has a little bit more hustle, and a little more drive, and a little more want. And like, so like, where's that want come from? Maybe it comes from a place of pain. Maybe it comes from a place of like understanding or like self-esteem. Maybe like so many people do so much mental rationalization, mental masturbation, not understanding the way that they think, not understanding their logical fallacy. The simple fact is the cream always rises to the top. There's never going to be like that fact where like, they're like, no, like even if this became true where like you could go out and approach girls, they're not going to do it because it's too painful. You're going to get rejected. Oh no, you're going to get hurt. People are going to say no to you. Oh no, why don't you just cry me a river? I'm not going to fucking do that. And now guess what? Now me and my friends who are willing to get rejected, to push through the pain, to actually discover what the truth of the world is. Now we get all the women. Now we get the shit that you want. It's our shit. It's like the big thing is like ultimately it's like with people, I think it's like it comes down to like it's just like do you have what do you really want it, or do you want it like look cool in front of your friends? Do you really want it, or do you want to mitigate like the loss? If you're trying to mitigate loss, you're never going to make it. Most people 99% of people even get in a pickup never make it because they never think critically. Why do they not think critically? Because it's painful, because it's work. They never push into it to the fact they never get a coach. They're never going to put their effort or their first foot forward because they don't have that will. It's just a human thing. Trying to figure out a way to trick your brain into doing like hard shit is tough. So the problem is like you have to have some kind of pain body push you into it at times, or even like maybe just a really high self-esteem. But even if you have high self-esteem, what happened to Kanye when Kanye started making really good albums? His albums started dropping off because he's like, oh, I'm the shit. I don't have to work anymore. So now guess what? Now his brain's like, we don't need to put in any effort. You don't have that pain body anymore. You don't need to be Kanye anymore. Like people love you. I'm awesome as is. And then like what happened to RSD? RSD started going down because Owen got a little bit soft. I love Owen. He's like my homie. But like ultimately what happened was like some people just in the community just got soft. And now the younger, like tougher crowd's gonna have to come up and move bring back the crowd. Like, it's just not everybody's gonna win. Like this is not something I thought about from the same headspace you've talked about. Like I thought the same thing when I first started working with RSD. But as I've been in this and I teach people and I legitimately show them like that, you can get good at this. And the fact that a very small percentage of even I can get results with a client on a boot camp, but the second they leave, it's up to them to continue to actually put in the effort to get good.
That's what usually happens, isn't it? That's what usually happens, isn't it? Yeah, they after the boot camp, they don't have anyone pushing them, and then they end up doing pretty much
not easy.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's always gonna be like, are you willing to put in the work? Like every step that so there's like this thing that I always say, like every step that you take that's tough is another step another man wouldn't make. So every time you do that, so it's not like it was easy for me to get here. It was like 10, it was like thousands of rejections. Like, and by thousands, I'm underselling it. Like, I mean, I actually had sex with so many girls, but I just remember all of them. I don't know the faces. Sometimes I'll walk by a girl at times and she looks familiar and she'll look at me in a way and I'm like, did I have sex with that girl? Did I make out with her? Did we have a conversation?
Yeah.
I was this girl that I made out with by accident. I forgot that I approached this girl in New York. Like I'm from Vegas. And I approached her in Vegas and I made out with her out here. And I actually approached her friend in New York, and then I recognized her and I switched over last second and started talking to her. And we went on a date later that night. But it's like the amount of effort and the amount of work that I put in to get this good is so incredibly, like, so much, and so like the pain tolerance of somebody to actually get to this point is so incredible that I don't think anybody that's the distance. That's the, it's not the fact that like it's some kind of magic pill. The problem is just like anything else, there's work involved. If you want a nice body, like, I mean, you could do steroids. I mean, you could do steroids, I guess, but if you want an actually nice body, you got to put in the work. I mean, with game, like, what can you do? You could, I guess, like, I don't know, pay for a hooker or something like that. I mean, you're never really actually learning how to like actually get it. But ultimately, like, that or you can maybe just build an ecosystem around you where you get women, but the second your ecosystem is gone, and then like the girls are gonna cheat on you anyways with me and my friends. So what does it matter? Like, you didn't put in the work. And I got really toxic there, didn't I? Sorry, man.
I think also it was there was something that you kind of touched on there, which if I dug a little bit deeper, it is that women have more options. And so like even that innocent girl that you see down the street, you're like, I've had that moment myself. Hang on, did we sleep together? I know you from somewhere. And you just know that they have a high body count. A lot of girls, a lot of girls have a lot of options. And yeah, so but a lot of guys aren't really getting laid at all. I think the average lay count's like 6 or something for a lot of guys. It's probably like 6 to 10.
7, where I stand, 7.
Yeah, something like that. Like you cap it at 10, just round it off.
Well, women also do have it hard. It's just hard in a different way.
Yeah,
it's all equal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can go into it. I can explain why.
Well, that's yeah, I think we've covered quite a bit. We've been talking for, I think we're coming up to about an hour now. And I think we went through.
Okay, sick.
I think we kind of got your life story to some extent. We rounded it off, which is pretty good. But yeah, thanks for coming on. And I think I'll end the recording now, and we'll have a little bit of a chat afterwards. But yeah, thanks for coming on. For you guys at home, obviously Karisma King, that's his name, that's the title. It's going to be in the thumbnail as well, so you can't really miss it. And I'll see you guys in the next video.